With that being said, I am ecstatic to have this next guest on my broadcast. It has been a long time. Him and I talked through his recruitment. We talked, he coming from Garden City, New York. We've had conversations, way back where he was going to go in junior college and where was he going to transfer to. And then Florida State came calling, and I could not be more ecstatic for that because such a good program, such a storied program, a reputable program, an amazing, amazing opportunity came his way. And I don't know what he thinks of this, but I feel like a big brother when I see stuff like this happen. So when I see my little brothers eat, it makes me really happy. My little brothers, my little sisters, older brothers, older sisters, it makes me really, really excited. So Chad and I reached out to him, and I thought, does this guy remember me? You always hope that you stand apart from the crowd. You always hope that people can see what you're putting out there, pick up what you're putting down. And you hope for it. I believe in it. I have the faith in it. But when it comes back to you and it's real, when I reach out to Chad and it's been years and he was down in Florida State, he's like, hey, man, what's going on? And then after he finishes up and all this stuff happens, and it's a few years later, and, things are going on in his life, and he's doing great, and I get that, and as soon as I send him a message, he writes right back to me, hey, Dan, what's going on? And like we've talked every day. And when you have a friend and you have somebody in your life where you couldn't talk, where you don't talk for years, or you feel like you lost touch, or you don't know if this person sees you any different than anybody else in the media, and you hope that they do, and you get that message back, and you get that love back. And I asked him to come on the show, and it was like, yeah, Dan, no question. Here's my number. Let's do what we got to do. Let's make it happen. So, Chad, I know it's a long intro, but it's a deserved intro. I am proud of you. I am happy for you. You are a fighter, and I am so undeniably honored that you remember me, and that whatever I did at whatever point in the time that we've spoken to each other made you feel cared for and appreciated, because you definitely are. So it is my honor and my privilege, Chad, to welcome you to the show, and I am so incredibly grateful that you wanted to spend some time here today.
I appreciate that, Dan. I'm honored. I feel the same way about you, man. So I hope you understand that. I appreciate you, and I always knew I'd probably end up back on this show. What is it now? 5 years later.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
It's an honor to be out there, man. We obviously, like you just said, you were there, from the beginning when I went from a kid with no offers, to a kid that had quite a few, in his selection. So I appreciate it, and you've always been personable, man. You've always been somebody that's, not a normal media guy and doesn't just want a story. Wants to really hear the truth and wants to really talk and be a friend and communicate. So for that, I appreciate you, and for that, I'm here on this show with you.
Well, I couldn't thank you enough, and I know that I'm going to get off the air and I'm going to shed a tear for that. I'm not going to cry on the air, but sometimes I do. It's all right if it happens. But Chad Mavety here with us this morning. Thank you, Chad, so much for those words. You made my day.
Yeah, man, I'm glad, man. I'm blessed to have met you and to be able to be on this show, like I said.
And it's great to have you back here. So there's a lot of things to unpack and a lot of things to get into. And I want to start, first and foremost with the current. We talked in the segment and lead about, not living in the past. And, we're going to talk about some things that have happened and some moments and some pillars, but the now is the most important part of your life. So, I know you got a lot of good news that's happened lately, a lot of reasons to be happy and congratulatory. So tell everybody what's going on in the world of Chad Mavety today.
Man, well, I never thought my world would be more hectic than, when it was when I was getting recruited and going through football and all that. But it's a hectic world I'm in now, but it's a good hectic. You know what I mean? When we first started talking, 5 years ago, I was just a regular kid, coming out of junior college, trying to figure life out. Now, a couple years later, I got 2 kids. I got a 6-year-old. I got, have my own house. Just got married. So, the immediate right now is quite eventful in terms of family life. And then, I'm also coaching high school ball at a pretty elite school here in Central Florida. That's where I decided to reside, down here in Clermont, Florida, which is about 20 minutes north of Orlando. So I'm down here living the dream, man. Down here living the dream. Wasn't the dream I thought I'd be living, but it's a dream I'm happy with, and I love every day.
Yeah, and like you said, it wasn't the dream you thought you'd be living. I mean, life. It's funny how people would say to me all the time growing up. They're like, "If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans." And I used to get really, really mad when people said that to me. And then what I realized was they were right. And that's something that really, it's funny how when you're a kid and you're going through everything, you're like, no, I know better than you do. I know what I'm doing. I know better than God. Like, I'm going to figure this out and this, that, and whatever. And the reality of it all is we don't. We don't know what's coming. We don't know what's going to happen next. And, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans is a very, very real thing. And what used to make me angry, now I tell people with a smirk on my face, knowing that they're probably going to be mad at me for saying it, but knowing that I'm 100% right. And in your case, you like you said, no offers. You went to junior college. That wasn't the plan. The plan wasn't to do that from high school. The plan wasn't to go junior college from high school. The plan wasn't to have no offers. The plan wasn't to get to Florida State and have that proud moment and do those awesome things on the offensive line and then have to be in a situation where football got cut short. So bring me into all of that, because your life didn't go the way that you thought it would go. Yet I'm talking to somebody today that's happy, that's kind, and it's just as nice of a guy as you were years ago.
Yeah, man. Like you said, you have this faulty prophecy that you're going to be something and something so great. You have this goal in mind. You have this idea in your head for so long that, you can do this or you can be this type of person, and you work hard for it. And, trials and tribulations happen, in the moments that you never expected. But, what they do is they shape you and they form you and they make you into something that, is stronger and better. And, when I came out of high school and, I didn't have any offers and stuff like that, I always believed, that I was going to be, who I ended up being to a point. And I always believed that my future was bright. And I think that's what carried me through a lot of things, in a lot of the bad situations or good situations too. When you come out of high school and not many people believe in you, and you made some mistakes and you didn't do all the right things, you kind of have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, then who else is going to be there for you? So I've always persevered. That's one thing about me, especially growing up, without my father passed away when I was young. Ever since that, I always knew nothing's going to be given to you. You kind of got to work. Things are going to be easy. Things are going to be hard. It's life. You work through it. You always come out at the other end. You know what I mean? So, I just am so excited to be, in a different mental space. Now that I've grown up, kind of been through so much, it's really made me who I am. All the bad and all the good. It's made me a champion, per se, in life. And, I tell people all the time, I can go through anything. It's all about the mentality you have and the mindset you have. If you believe you can get through it, you believe you can get through it. But when you start having those negative thoughts and that negative mindset, that's where you run into trouble. And it happened to me. Don't get me wrong. In many situations it happened, but you got to find that strength to become better, bigger, and stronger. And, that's what I did when I came out of high school. I motivated myself, and, I became, a recruit who could get scholarships. And then, when I got to Florida State my first year, expecting to play right away, I hurt my back. You know what I mean? And I fought through that trial, and I got better, got stronger, and I started every game the next season. You know what I mean? So I just kept having that positive mental mindset. And then, after that next season, I get my heart condition and I can't play in the Peach Bowl. Well, I still believe. You know what I mean? And then couple months later, I fly to a doctor, and he says, you can't play the game of football anymore. So once that happens, you know what? I get down for a moment, but then, I remember who I am and what I've been through and the mental mindset I have to have. And I keep pushing, and I look past it, and I create a career other than, playing football and create a family, and I look at the positive. And that's why I'm in a mental state like I am now, because I've had a good mental state. You know what I mean? I've always been a positive, proactive person. I don't get myself down in the dumps. I fight through it. And that's why I am where I am today. And I'm able to get through it. You know what I mean? But what I want everybody to know is it's not easy. I wasn't always like that. I have bad times. You know what I mean? But I fight through it. And that's the most important thing is you just got to have fight. You got to have, a sense of belief. And you got to have a sense that everything that happens for a reason. And, we'll get through it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like you said, to believe in that and believe in yourself and the negative mindset, the reality of, and I've been through it. When you speak that negativity, it stays negative. And when you speak that positivity, you speak it and you're like, okay, it's supposed to work right away. But it doesn't.
Yep.
It works over time, and I said on the show, like today's day 180, 6 months straight of at least 10,000 steps a day. Change my body, change my mind, change who I, took the man that I love and turned me into a healthier body, a healthier mindset, a more positive person, a person who has built up that positivity to make it last forever. And that is something I continue to work on every day. But Chad, I'm so excited and I'm so happy and I love waking up in the morning and getting after it and doing this because I always loved my job. I always loved getting out and doing what I'm doing here right now this morning, but I wasn't loving myself. I wasn't taking care of myself, and I made the decision to do that. What were your darkest days, and what is your life like now?
I had plenty of dark days, man. Obviously, like I said, coming out of high school and, not many people believe in what my capabilities were and that I would change my mental mindset and, I would focus and work hard and whatnot. That was one of the darkest times because, I felt like all these people supported me and whatnot until, it came down and I was, done in high school. Then it was like, that kid that didn't do everything right. He didn't take care of his grades and whatnot, didn't get right. So I fought through that. You know what I mean? And that's when I turned to myself. And that's when I turned to, close family. And I turned to people that I knew were really there for me, But I always knew I had to be there for myself, And so, like, in that dark time, I just turned to my, my inner soul and I just, kind of pushed myself. And then when I got to junior college, going through that process, it was hard. As you know, junior college is not the easiest thing, and then, National College in New York is also not an easy thing because it's not scholarships. You don't get somewhere to live. You don't get all the good stuff. You got to pay for all that stuff out your pocket. You got to figure it out. You got to grind it out. But I just knew I could get out of it. I knew I could do it, and that's what happened. That's how. But those dark times, if you don't have somebody there for you, or you're not there for yourself, it's hard to get through it. It's really hard to get through it. So in those times and all those failures, that's how you build yourself. That's how you become better. So every failure I made, I always tell myself, I'm gonna be better. I won't make the same mistake. I will get better. And if I didn't speak like that or I didn't have that mindset, man, I don't think I would have made it through. I don't think I would have been able to get through all those dark times. Because I had some dark times. Especially when I had to fly into Cleveland, before my senior season at Florida State, and I had to have one doctor just say, hey, you can't play football. Just, shut my career down just like that. Now, I didn't expect it because, in my head, just like you said, you're almost invincible. You're like, no, my plan is, God's going to let me play football. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to play in the NFL. I'm going to be all right. We'll get through this. And then when you get hit with that harsh reality, you're like, oh, Jesus, this is real. There's no more pushing through or no more fighting for this. This is, you're shut down. You're not playing ball anymore. And I just had to find a different inner peace in that moment to say, there's more to life. There's more to life. And I was lucky enough that I had a son already, and I had a girlfriend at the time, who I'm married to now. But I was lucky enough to have them in the back of my mind, to motivate me and know there's a bigger purpose. There's a bigger purpose, and it happens for a reason. And I can do much more with my life and be happy instead of just getting upset, being depressed or doing the wrong things.
Yeah, coming this morning from Chad Mavety as he tells his story, going from Garden City, New York, to JUCO, to the Florida State Seminoles, to now being a father, and recently here becoming a husband. I gotta ask you this. I gotta go to the wedding photo, man. When did you decide to be a DJ Khaled lookalike? I gotta ask you.
Hey, man, listen, I've been getting that my whole damn life. I mean, I had to lose 30 pounds before the wedding because I was getting so damn big, and I was scared I'd look way too much like DJ Khaled. You know what I mean? So, I did my part, but I guess I still look like him a little bit, huh?
Well, what I love is, like, how many kids do you have now?
I have 2.
So what I would love is if there was a video of, like, you with your first child, and you're like, I was so happy I had this one, and then you pan the camera and there's another child, and you're like, so I got another one. Like, that's what I want.
Hey, I could get on TikTok, man, just be DJ Khaled, and I'll become famous.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I gotta tell you, knowing you and being around, I don't know DJ Khaled, so I gotta say that you're that maybe you're not a DJ Khaled lookalike. Maybe DJ Khaled is a Chad Mavety lookalike.
Hey, I like that. You can chalk that up. I like that.
So I love this. Seeing the wedding photo. Super, super, super congratulations. You got married, I think it was like exactly a month here before my birthday. You got married back in September. So tell me about the lady that has your heart, Miss Alexa, what you can say about this. And like you said, when you went through and you went to Cleveland, and that was a big moment of adversity in your life, and, going and meeting that doctor and having him tell you that, it's not like, oh, you can't play football for a few months, or we got to go through this. It's, you can't play football again. You said you had, your first child, you had her by your side. Bring me into the marriage, bring me into, being a married man now. Like, what was, the wedding, the moment, everything, and just what Miss Alexa means to you?
Well, first and foremost, my wife, Alexa, she's amazing. She's been with me, we've actually been together since high school. All these years, so she was with me throughout high school, with me throughout junior college, with me throughout Florida State, and then obviously with me, after. So, she's earned everything she's gotten by being an incredible person and an incredible partner. You know what I mean? When I actually had my first son, I had him when I was 19, so I had him in high school with her, and right after that, I left. Right? I went to junior college, and then I had to go to Florida State. And they were never with me, so it was always traveling back and forth. But she did everything to, obviously I wasn't working and stuff because, I was playing ball. So she worked, 3 jobs. She took care of my son while I was at school, and still managed to buy flights and make it to almost every single one of my games every season. You know what I mean? So she worked her tail off to be able to support me, and that helped motivate me and helped, make me work harder. She can do this, and she can put this much effort in. I got to pay her back. And, so I worked so hard for her and my son. And, I couldn't be any more thankful for her because, I've been through so many hard times, and she's always been there for me. You know what I mean? And she understands what it's like to be in my position and to go through, some of this stuff because she's been there with me. So I couldn't be any more lucky to have her, in my opinion. But I love her to death. She's great. We, like you just said, we got married. We actually got legally married in March. We were supposed to get married out in Mexico. We had a whole wedding plan, huge wedding party going out there. And obviously this pandemic hit us. Hit us really hard, So we had to cancel a wedding in Mexico. Yeah. And then we worked. We obviously worked on rescheduling, and it's hard to reschedule during the pandemic, as you can tell, because you just didn't know when it was going to end. And obviously, to this day, still hasn't ended. So it was a very stressful year, trying to take care of that, but we just stayed positive and knew that we'd get it done. So we ended up having it, like you said, in September, the wedding ceremony down in Alum, Florida, at a wonderful hotel. We had a small ceremony, so we had about 25 people, and it was nice. It was nice because we've been through so much together. We have our sons.
Yeah.
This is the day that was the day she's been waiting for her whole life. You know what I mean? And with everything that we've been through, it was just so much sweeter. You know what I mean? It was so much better. And the pandemic, it made us so much stronger, that we can still get it done with everything that's going on. And no matter what goes on in this world, you can still find a way to, have a happy moment. You can still be together with family, and you can still enjoy life. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's hard. We all understand. Everybody knows life is a little bit tougher right now. But you still got to find your ways to have your happy moments and enjoy your life. And we got we got those 3 days to really enjoy it, to really, soak up in the fact that, we have 2 kids, and, we did it at 19, and we made it this far. We have our own house. And, we just accomplished so much. So it's nice to, get married and be like, wow, we did it. Not a lot of people would have, made it through all the circumstances that we had, and, me being away and her working so many jobs, everything that she did. So, I'm just so proud and thankful, and, I'm glad you let me speak on it, because I've never really, said anything about it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here with Chad Mavety this morning out of Garden City, New York, Florida State offensive line alum. Chad, with talking about that, I ask you because you guys have been through so much, and you said you've been together since high school. You're trying to figure things out after high school, and then you're going to JUCO, then you go to Florida State. You're coming from Garden City, New York. It's difficult, and there's time apart, there's time away, there's dedication to football, which is like having 10 jobs. There's all this stuff going on. She's working, she was trying to help out. You have a kid, and all these things happen within all of this. How do you keep it together? How do you keep it strong? And what can you say about navigating? Because in the world we live in today, and as a man who knows what it's like to be married and not have the right partner, that I went through over these last couple of years, and to now be single again and realize, Chad, that it's absolutely crazy out there. That's, what can you say about what builds a fruitful relationship, and how you were able to be with somebody through so many different chapters of your life?
I think it's how you handle the situations that you go through. You know what I mean? Like when things are hard, how do you handle those situations when it's hard? Do you handle it together? Do you point fingers? Do you ignore it? You know what I mean? And we kind of went through all of that at a certain point to build our relationship and become better and stronger. And I'd be lying if I said everything was perfect. Everything wasn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. I go to Florida State, and you're a top tier football player on a national stage. You're surrounded by a lot of people and a lot of things, and you just kind of got to keep your head down and stay focused. But I think the thing about it is she knew the land, that we were going to be farming, and she knew we had to handle it a certain way. You can't be upset about everything, or you can't attack everything. You gotta be strategic and understand the situations and the certain things you're going through. You know what I mean? She was in New Jersey, and I was in Florida. You know what I mean? So she didn't know everything that was going on, but we tried to communicate, stay up to date on what's going on. But even if certain things happened, it's we communicated, we talked, we worked it out. We didn't just point fingers and hold grudges and do that type of stuff. It's all about understanding. It's all about working through things together and understanding that. We do love each other. We appreciate each other. And the only way things will work is if you work together. I spent a lot of time when I was younger. I didn't like confrontation. I didn't like issues and stuff. So I just ignore it. I would just go about it. But that catches up to you later on. So now whatever the situation is, we sit down, we talk about it, we handle it, we deal with it, and that's how we get things done. So my best advice: you gotta find somebody who's understanding. Somebody who gets you, which is hard. That takes time. Somebody we've been dating since almost 2010, 2011. You know what I mean? And now we're here going on 2021. So it's taking time. It's definitely taking time. It's taking an investment. It's taking, the fact that we wanted it to work. We made it work. If you want it to work, you'll sacrifice things. You'll change things. You'll meet in the middle, and you'll become better together. And I think we've done a tremendous job of doing that. And a lot of that for me, I got to say, is because she stuck with it. She didn't quit when things got bad. She didn't quit when things got hard. She worked. Most ladies, when their boyfriend is away, miles away in another state, 10 states away, and then you're home working 3 jobs and doing certain things, and still going to school, still going to college, and in a sorority, it's kind of hard to, stay focused on the one, on your boyfriend that's thousands of miles away and busy in meetings from 5 a.m. in the morning till 11 o'clock at night and can barely talk to you. So there's a lot of days where she didn't have me to talk to. But she kept fighting, and she knew that, it'd be worth it in the end, and she knew that we loved each other, and here we are.
And I want to give a shout-out to Alexa because she's watching and she's listening right now. So, Alexa, if you just tuned in, he has said awesome, amazing things about you. You got to go back and listen to it. And I would love to get – what do you think she would say about you if she was on the air right now?
Oh, man, she'd probably reiterate the same things, maybe just a little bit harsher on some of the things I've done. But no, she's wonderful. She wouldn't say anything bad. I trust her. I know her by now.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, I mean, and that's awesome. And you get to be a dad, and now you're a husband, and such an amazing thing. And I'm happy that you guys got to celebrate. Like you said, you got married back in March, but the fact that you actually officially got to celebrate. I got to ask you, Chad, because I know that Alexa has tattoos. Do you have any tattoos?
Yeah, I got a couple tattoos. Mine are more hidden than hers. She's a little bit more rebellious, if you ask me.
So I got to ask you, what is your favorite tattoo that she has, like your favorite design or whatever? And then what's your favorite tattoo that you have?
Well, we actually we have each other's initials, and then that's one of my favorites because we did that years ago. We got each other's initials, and then she has a crown on her neck, and I have a crown as well for king and queen. And those we got those probably 5-6 years ago. And most people wouldn't do that type of tattoo, but we knew where we were headed. We knew what it was from the start. And so I take pride in those tattoos because obviously they're still standing and they're still in good sight.
And I got to ask you, Chad, because I don't have one, and I go back and forth on whether or not I want to get one. Should I get one? Yeah, I mean, I know you have one, so I'm a little bit biased or whatever, but I have a couple ideas. I've never done it before, but I keep thinking about it. Should I get one?
You should get one, man. You got one life to live. That's the way I look at it. If you want one, go get one. The only thing I'm going to say is do your research on a very good tattoo artist. If it costs a decent amount of money, pay it. It's worth it looking good for the long run than it not looking good. You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is, I mean, it's kind of like an artist of anything. You get what you pay for. So,
absolutely.
The reality of it. Alexa, I'm going to ask you, too, because I know she just wrote in here, do you think I should get a tattoo? And since Chad calls you more rebellious, do you think that I should get one that's present or not present? She also wrote to us and said, so I'll await her answer. She said, I'll have to go back and listen. So she is listening here this morning. Chad, for you, being a dad, being a husband, obviously, as a human being in this world, you have to take care of yourself. You got to keep yourself healthy. You're the best person to do that. But you are a husband. You are a father. You're obviously a son. You're a friend. How have you viewed the world, knowing that we live in a world that has a lot of issues when it comes to social justice, has issues with coronavirus and something that's been an invisible kind of attacker of these last 7 months, as someone who loves themselves, as someone who is a father, as someone who is a husband, as someone who, is out there running, running their business and doing what they have to do, how do you look at the world right now, knowing that we have issues with a virus that doesn't discriminate, and then we have social justice issues because people do discriminate?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough world we live in. Obviously everybody notices that. It's a tough position to be in, as a country and as a father. First and foremost, it's tough because, there's so many things I have to explain to my kids every day. And, certain things I don't want to have to explain right now, but, it's necessary to explain it. My thing is, I try and give everybody a fair chance. I don't really judge anybody, off of what people say. I like to do my own research and my own, viewing of certain things to make sure and see how I feel about it, because everybody, interprets things differently. The world we live in, it's rough right now. What we need more is more love, more peace, more unity, and I do believe we'll get there. I really do. I do believe we'll get there. I think with this election and all this stuff going on, it's kind of tough. Certain people feel a certain way, and they're not going to change. Once the decision is made and somebody is there, in office, I think everybody will come back to their senses. I think it'll be more even keel and there'll be more understanding. At the end of the day, it's like anything. Whoever wins and whoever's in office, we got to deal with it. We got to make the best out of it, and we got to find a way to make this country a better country and the society a better society. And the only way to do that is, we don't pout, we don't argue, we come together, and we fix issues, and we do that to the best we can. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I can only do it at a community level. I can only do what I can at a community level between coaching and mentoring kids, I can try and talk to them, and I can try and explain things and put them in situations to be successful, and then I hope that they can pass that on, and that helps the future. But other than that, there's not much, I can do other than to try and be a good person on a daily basis, try and show love on a daily basis, try and show unity and peace on a daily basis, and just don't judge. I think that's the most important thing is we do so much judging nowadays, because of what's going on. But at the end of the day, we don't really know, how that person feels deep down in their heart. When it really comes down to how do they feel, and we don't really know that. So I think everybody in society, as people, we have to take a step back, all right, and just understand that the way things are going right now, it's a mess. But things will get better. Like anything that's hard or anything that's tough, it will get better, it will get fixed, and we will be okay. And that goes back to the way I think. That we can make it through anything. We can do anything. I tell my kids they can do anything they want to do. If they want to change the world, they can change the world. And I truly believe that.
That coming this morning from Chad Mavety. Awesome words. Florida State football offensive line alum out of Garden City, New York. Chad, we got to get to a few things here, and I got to ask you this. One of my closest, dearest friends, my best friends in this world, Evan Rosenthal, he went to Florida State, and he actually worked, I believe, in the cafeteria at Florida State, so he was around the players all the time, around Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher, and, players that have come through the program and whatnot. He is a huge, huge supporter, and through him, I got to kind of see that. And I went down to Florida State, and, I went to Florida State. I went to first time Syracuse played Florida State down there and got to experience those moments. And so, I definitely appreciate a lot of things about Florida State and respect a lot of stuff that I've seen down there. Actually, Mike Norvell is somebody that I've covered for the last 4 years at Memphis. So I know him. I knew Jimbo. And so what can you tell me about being a Florida State Seminole? Do you feel like, even though times were cut short and whatnot, do you feel the love from the community? And do you feel like you will always be a Seminole?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, obviously, the fans and the people around Florida State supported me from, the beginning. And, that's, part of the reason why I went down there is to show me a lot of love. But, even while I was dealing with certain things and going through what I dealt with, they supported me and were there for me. You know, I had thousands of messages from fans and you know, just the community in general, man. I fell in love with it. You know, I felt my teammates, I had the most incredible teammates in the world. You know, still talk to a lot of them. Then, you know, just the experience I had was just second to none. You know what I mean? It was something I would have never imagined, you know, that I'd be able to experience. And even when I signed to go there, I had no idea what I was going to do. You know what I mean? But it was fairly incredible to be able to experience what I did and be able to play in such, you know, a magnitude of games that were, you know, big-time games in front of fans. And to experience what I experienced, man, I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I couldn't be more thankful, you know, for the people that I got to meet along the way. You know, Coach Fisher, I mean, he took care of me. You know, while I was there, he took tremendous care of me. You know, assistant coaches did. You know, they really, with all that I went through, you know what I mean? They really showed a lot of love to me and took care of me like, you know, I was one of their kids. And then, you know, now to the new staff, you know, I think they're fantastic. I think they're great. You know, I went in there, you know, their first couple months, you know, at the school, and I walked in there. Every staff member knew who I was. Everybody, you know, said hi to me, thanked me. You know, they showed a lot of detail, a lot of interest, you know, in the former players. And obviously some of the guys on the staff recruited me at other schools and stuff, so they had a little idea who I was, you know. But, you know, they made it really nice for me to come back and be able to, you know, be around the guys and be able to enjoy it, you know, knowing that, you know, I worked on that field. You know, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of early mornings, a lot of early, late nights. You know what I mean? And that's what you want. You do something, you try and, you know, leave your mark on the school, and you want to be able to go back and reap the benefits of what you did and be able to enjoy it. And, you know, so I enjoyed being able to go back there and, you know, be able to see those guys, those players, and some of them know who I am, and coaches and fans. And, you know, it's just, I get to relive it like I was playing. So I enjoy it. I love the staff. You know, I love the school, love the university, love the fans, and you know, I hope I'm blessed that I can keep going back up there, and I can keep having the access that I have, and be around the players, and be around the, you know, the coaches, and be in that community.
I think that I mean, and that's awesome to hear that coming from Chad Mavety about Florida State. Chad, for you, you know, the Syracuse issue up here, and I've talked about it on the show throughout this week, is that they are disconnected from the alumni. You said when you went back on campus at Florida State, they welcomed you back in. They knew your name. They knew who you were. What can you say about Florida State being open to the alumni, and with your coach being Jimbo and now Mike Norvell not having been your coach, what does it mean to you about the effort that they make with the alumni of the football team? And what can you say about how you feel now to go in and see a coach and a coaching staff that wasn't your coach and wasn't your coaching staff, but to feel welcome? Because it's a point that I pound home a lot when it comes to Syracuse and in general. So what can you say about Florida State and how they treat you, and what it's like to be an alumni that is welcomed back by a coaching staff that didn't even have you?
I mean, I think it's great. I think it helps the program. I think it helps these coaches, you know, find an identity over there. You know, when as young guys and you see a new coaching staff, you know, you're still young. You don't really know whether to trust them or what they can do. You hear a lot of the rumblings. You know where they've been before. You know, but then when you see, you know, as you're a young player and you see older guys come back and you see them enjoying their time with these coaches and being happy and smiling, you know, you can see that we trust the coaches. And if they see that we trust the coaches, you know, it makes it a little bit easier for them to trust the coaches. You know what I mean? I think Coach Norvell's mentality of, you know, he wants all the alumni back in there. He wants everybody back in there around the program or supporting the program. I think that helps. You know, I think that helps the you know, the attitude around the team. You know, you got all these guys that want to come back, man. We're excited. We're excited to get back there. We're excited to help, you know, speak to the team, and we're excited to help teach these guys certain things, techniques and whatnot, you know, because we're allowed to. So, ultimately, I mean, Coach Norvell's done a tremendous job. You know, I got to give him credit for doing that and taking that initiative. fortunate to have all of us back. It doesn't matter who you are. You know, you could have played one snap in your career. You could have played every snap in your career. You're respected the same way. You know what I mean? And it's just one big family. So, you know, I appreciate it. I enjoy it. And you don't get that everywhere. You know, so it's definitely a blessing.
Chad, do you think that a program can win if they slam the door on their alumni and they close off the alumni, whether they played one snap or they were starter, whether they won every game or lost most of their games? Do you think that a program can win if they do not allow the alumni to come back?
I mean, can they win? Maybe. Possibly. I'm not going to say they can't because you never know. In this world, crazy things happen. But I don't think you have a high chance of winning. You know what I mean? You need older guys to come back. You need older guys to set kind of set a tone, set a standard. You need older guys to give back. You know, you need older guys to talk to players and also to new recruit community and all that stuff. You got a lot of former players that end up coaching a lot of these, you know, top-notch guys that are going to end up leaving and going to college one day. So you kind of want your former players to have a good foot. You kind of want them to be able to tell you, hey, you know, I love Florida State. You know, as soon as I graduated, it was a great time. Still got to go back. You know, even if you don't make it to the league. You know, not everybody makes it to the league. You know, it's a small percentage that makes it to the league. Yeah. You know, whether you're just not good enough to get to the league or you have injuries or you have certain things, you know, it's life. It happens. But you want these guys to get back in there. You want these guys to help out, whether it be donating or, you know, just supporting in general. That causes more people to support because, you know, all these guys have different fans. They're from all across the country. They're from all different places. You know what I mean? So you have more people that support. But if these guys start talking bad about the program, you're going to lose support from all around that you never knew you had. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, Florida State, for example, is taking advantage of having a lot of, you know, alumni back and having a lot of alumni happy with the program.
Yeah, you know, and it seems like that's been obviously a place of importance for Florida State, and I think that it definitely helps you out more than it doesn't. As far as people knowing, just to share with everybody, Chad, the years that you were on the field for Florida State.
Well, I went there in 2014.
Yeah.
That was my first year. We went to the Rose Bowl, went undefeated, lost to Oregon. I was out that year with a medical red shirt. And then 2015, I started that season at left guard, like 8 games left guard, 3 at right tackle or something like that. And that was a great year. And then right after we beat Florida, you know, we had the bowl game and whatnot, and I was shut down for the bowl game, so I couldn't play. And then a couple months after that is when, you know, I got my diagnosis and whatnot and what I had, and then I couldn't play. And then it became, you know, the 2016 season, and that would have been my senior season right there.
Yeah, so we look back at your time. You got to Florida State right after they won a national championship, the last BCS championship back in 2013 with Jameis Winston and company. And then you, like you said, a medical redshirt in 2014, but you were there. The team went 13-1 that season, like you said, losing to Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And then in the season that you were out there, the team went 10-2 in the regular season, lost to Houston in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which you were talking about, your last game. But here's the thing. As much as it was cut short, as much as it wasn't what you anticipated or wanted, your last game playing for Florida State was a rivalry game against Florida on the road in Gainesville that you won 27-2. So, you know, we talk about being positive, not being negative, speaking positivity in the world and not negativity in, and that what you put in the world is what you get out, what you focus on is what you become. Even though it didn't go the way you wanted it to go, Chad, your final game was one of the biggest rivalries that we see in college football, and you got the best of Florida in their house. I would think that that's a pretty good swan song, so to speak, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with you 1,000%. You know, it's the best way to go out. You know, we broke the record for the most fans in that stadium in history. It was like 109,000 or something like that. So it's the most ever they've ever put in that stadium. You know, so and I think that still stands till today. Not sure. You they have some big games at LSU and Tennessee, so I have no idea. But, it was just to be able to walk out there, I'll be honest with you, when I walked out there and I got to, know that I was, playing and starting and whatnot, it was, it was kind of surreal. It's just like playing Miami. My first start of my career was against Miami, but we were at home, so I was used to it at home. But when you go to that other team's field, you're like, wow, you're doing this. You watch it on TV, you play video games, NCAA all the time. You're like, man, I can't wait to do this one day. When you're really out there and you're on the ground and you feel it and you're really doing it, that was one game for sure where, kind of cultivated my career. And at that moment, I was like, man, this is awesome. You know what I mean? This is awesome. And that's why I wanted to keep going, and unfortunately I couldn't. You know what I mean? But I still, that moment of being on that field and playing that game and winning that game was just something that you could, that you can wish for. You can never get it if you try. It was a blessing. And I'm just thankful I got to enjoy it.
You also got to play up against the Syracuse Orange, my hometown. Won that game at home 45-21. I know you were on the offensive side of the ball, but being on the offensive side of the ball, you got to watch Syracuse's offense when they were out there. What can you tell me about number 2, Eric Dungey? If you remember the quarterback at Syracuse, he had a couple touchdowns on the ground, and obviously he was the passer of the day as well. What did you think about Eric Dungey? Because in my opinion, he's one of the greatest players to come through Syracuse history, especially in the last decade plus, because of the dog that he had in him. Did you take anything away from that Syracuse game, and do you remember Eric Dungey? I miss out on that.
No, that's no problem. But, I actually I did remember Eric. He was a good player, actually. He's a very good player. Our defense knew all week that, he can make plays. So you better have your toes in the ground. You better be ready to play. And he did that. We had respect for him, and he played. And like I said, he put 21 points on the board. You know what I mean? And he made plays and did things. And it's just tough to go against the guys that we had at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And he did the best he can. But I was mentioning how that I let up my first. I think my only sack of my career was against Syracuse, like third play of the game. I must have been dreaming or something. That's the fact that I was playing then and it was real life. Because I didn't even get off the damn ball. It was a sack right away. You know what I mean? And I think that might have been a little karma in my life. But, it was a great team. I think they had players. They had players all around that were good players. You know what I mean? It was just it's tough when you don't have 22 elite guys. You know what I mean? It's tough to really play a full game. But they had players. They competed hard. They tried. They never pouted. They never whined on the field. You know what I mean? They just played. They played, and they just tried their hardest. So I had a tremendous amount of respect for him.
And I got to ask you, you said you gave up that sack. Do you remember if that was the sack that Ron Thompson had in the game?
Yeah, I think so. Like third play of the game, just did a little swim move on me or something like that. I didn't even move. I just stayed in that. My feet were in the ground, never moved.
So, yeah, and it's crazy that you remember that. But it's also, again, something to be said about it is that you're like, yeah, I think that's the only sack that I gave up. Think about that. I know that you want it back. I know that you don't want to give it up. I know that that's not something that you want to remember, but it must be really nice to say, that's the only sack I gave up in my career. You played strong teams. You played teams that gave a lot of effort, put a lot out there, and did a lot of great things. So, and you play in teams in the top 25. That says a lot about, again, looking at things in a positive way and not a negative way. That says a lot about you, Chad, where you're like, man, I gave up that sack. That was the only sack I've given up in my career at Florida State. That is amazing. And I know that you want it to be 0, but, sir, there's only 1, and you were on an offensive line with a team that was getting everybody's best game. So kudos to you about that.
I appreciate that, man. And I had great teammates. I had great teammates to help me out. I'm sure I probably could have let up a couple other ones, but my guys helped me out, whether it was Dill Line or Dalvin or quarterback getting rid of that ball. It's a team effort, you know what I mean? But it worked out, and unfortunately, like you said, I let one slip by. It just happened to be against that team up there in New York.
And you said that Scott Schaefer and the staff, that they recruited you. You grew up a Syracuse fan. Bring me into that. I mean, you obviously ended up at Florida State, but what was it like going a little bit deeper into being recruited by Scott Schaefer, by his staff? You would have been taught by Joe Adam, who is still a very good friend of mine, who's now at St. Anselm as a head coach in D2. He was the offensive line coach. So what can you tell me about, Syracuse and the staff and the recruitment by them under Schaefer?
I thought they did a great job. They did a great job. They tried. They really tried their hardest. I probably have a million letters from them, but Coach Schaefer really took over the recruiting of me from the jump. He was the one that I used to talk to on the phone, and he called me all the time. Or I called him. He called me. I don't remember, but we used to talk consistently, a lot. And the one thing that Coach Schaefer is, he understood, and even from the jump, he understood that. I was getting recruited by schools that were kind of, on a different level at the time, but. He didn't give up. He didn't quit because he knew at the end of the day that I had a connection to Syracuse. He knew that I played for, Antonio Anderson. He knew that my aunt went to Syracuse and graduated, and, they were there when Carmelo was there, and Carmelo was my favorite player, so I had a lot of connections to Syracuse. So he never quit, and he tried, and, he worked hard, and even when I made my decision, he applauded me. And, he said, good luck, enjoy it. And he thanked me for being honest with them. He thanked me for giving them a chance. And even, like I said, when we played them, after the game, he came up, shook my hand, hugged me. He said, you're a great kid. You made a great decision coming down here to play Florida State. And, he said, he wish he could have had me up there, but, he understands. And we haven't talked since then. I'm sure we will at some point when I see him through coaching and whatnot, but I appreciate him for that, and he's definitely a good man. Even though things may not have worked out, the way he wanted it to, or the way Syracuse fans wanted it to, that was a good man at the end of the day.
That coming from Chad Mavety this morning, Florida State football offensive line alum out of Garden City, New York, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Cubal Studios. Chad, before I let you go, going off of that point. And I want to get to something about Florida State here as well. But going off of that point, I don't think that the university really, as a whole, respected Scott Schaefer. I know that there's people in the fan base that didn't respect him. I have said very recently here that Scott Schaefer and his staff, what they did personally and professionally, I respect them. I still talk to Tim Lester, Joe Adam, DeAndre Smith. I appreciate those guys. I love that they've kept in touch with me. I know Scott. I know Missy. I know Elsa. I know Wolfgang. I know the whole family, and I haven't seen Scott or spoken with him in a while, and I would definitely love to. I think that they won games, and you got recruited by them, and like you said, you ended up going somewhere else, but that they didn't let up on you, and they really gave it their all. When I look at recruiting, I told people all the time, you want to see more wins. They won on the recruiting trail so much, and they did so much, and the way they went about it, and the honesty that they gave, and the way they presented themselves, the type of human beings that they are, men that they are, is why I still keep in touch with them. So what can you say about that fact of Syracuse fans and maybe the university didn't know what they had, and even though, like you said, the wins didn't, come through the way that Scott wanted them to, I don't think he was given enough time, and I definitely think that people don't truly know just how much he cared and how hard he fought on the recruiting trail to really change Syracuse for the better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think he had a tremendous head coach at that time who, he worked. He really did work. People have to understand, that there's so many things that are involved, with the head coach and making decisions on, who he could hire and people he could have around and, what he could afford, based on school budget and all that stuff like that. You kind of got to understand where you are. If Coach Schaefer, could have done certain things and got certain people in there, he would have. But unfortunately, you could only do what your budget, could afford you to do. And he got the best people he could for what he was allowed to do. You know what I mean? And he had tried. He tried to compete. The game of college football, names and status at the moment is really important. You know what I mean? And if Syracuse had came off of a 1-loss season or a 2-loss season, obviously things would be very different. You know what I mean? You keep stacking on the wins. You keep stacking on the good stuff. You know, things get better. You know what I mean? But you also, during downtime, down years, you got to see the positives. And there was a lot of positives during Schaefer's time with players doing certain things, going to the league, and you know, good players like Dungey and stuff like that played, that competed, that maybe wouldn't have been as good under another coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can look at a lot of that stuff. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, whether Syracuse made a bad decision or whatnot, because I wasn't there. I don't know what else happened behind the scenes or how they felt or whatnot. You know what I mean? But I'm sure that, you know, if they gave Coach Schaefer, you know, some more opportunities and maybe some more resources, you know, things could have been different. And I'm sure that goes for a lot of coaches in a lot of places. You know, it's kind of just a hand that you're dealt. You got to work with it. You got to figure it out. Some coaches, you know, they get some gems and they make it work, and they do things that nobody ever expected. You know, and some coaches just, you know, they kind of glide through, and you know, things are okay, but you know, they do some good things in between the lines that you really don't see. You know, and you kind of just got to wait and sometimes give it time. But I mean, as you know, time is not your friend when it comes to college football or it comes to a big-time program.
Yeah, you know, that's absolutely the truth. Here with Chad Mavety this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Final note here, Chad. Two things. First and foremost, what do you think about Florida State right now? I know that they've struggled this season, but they were able to get the best of North Carolina at home in Tallahassee. But this was a team that almost lost to Jackson State at home, and then later on you got a top 10 team of North Carolina coming in, and they get a victory over Mac Brown in his second stint with North Carolina in his second season since coming back. What are your thoughts on the current team and just what your takeaways have been?
Oh, I mean, I'll be honest, I like this current team. I'm a big fan of them. I think they're a bunch of fighters. You know, I think you got guys. I think they're starting to buy in. You know, we had a guy, you know, D-Lyman, that, you know, was on that transfer portal thing, and, you know, he tried to come back, and he tried to buy in. You know, he played a little bit last week. You know, stuff like that is how you can tell a team is starting to buy in. You got a guy that was in transfer portal. He was ready to get out of there. You know, a couple of years into the season, right? It may not be the best team in the world, but he decides, you know what, I'm going to come back. I'm going to help this team. There's got to be something positive going on. You know what I mean? And they got some fight. And, you know, me personally, if you look at my Twitter, you look at my stuff, my social media, you know, I've supported this staff since day one. Because when I went in there and I met them and I talked to Coach Norvell, and, you know, we communicated, and, you know, he told me how he's doing things, and the staff told me how they're doing things, I knew that they were going to be all right. You know, I knew that they got the right plan. You know what I mean? And you just got to start stacking the good stuff. And since the first game of the season, it may have looked bad, right? It may have lost to Georgia Tech, may have lost to Jackson State, but I saw so many good things in those games that I knew eventually it would come together. And it's going to keep coming together. And they just got to keep stacking it. You know what I mean? And the most important thing we'll see here is how they respond. How do you respond to being that number 5 team? Do you get comfortable, or do you go out there and you wreak havoc this next week? That's what you got. Now you just beat that number 5. Now you got to come out this next week and you got to win by 30. It's a statement. You know, it's a statement to let everybody know, listen, it's for real. You know, it's not a game. Listen, when I was there at Florida State, that's how the whole team thought. That's every single player thought on that team. We were for real. It doesn't matter how many we were down by. We can go down by 30. Listen, we're coming back and we'll beat you by 10. I promise you. And it happened a lot for us. My first year, I swear I felt like we were down every single game when we went undefeated. We were down every game. We came back and we won every single game. You know what I mean? That was heart, passion, and just everybody just being on the same page and knowing that, man, if we work together, we can do this. You know what I mean? And we did. And you know, we had some great times. And this new team, I'm supporting them till the end. And I'm just fired up that they won that last game. I'm fired up to see them, you know, keep going and use some of this, you know, some of the spark that they got going, you know, and just kind of, you know, don't worry about the doubters and the haters and everybody that's critiquing. Just put your head down and go to work. You know what I mean? That's all I want them to do.
That coming from Chad Mavety. Chad, you've been awesome on today's show. I know that you've been rocking through a little sinus stuff and things going on. I cannot wait to have you back, and I would love to do it. My last thing for you is something that I don't think you've ever had as a football player, and I want to be the one to give you this opportunity because I'm pretty confident that you've never had it. I don't think many players have. Instead of being interviewed, you get to be the interviewer. It's called Rapid Fire. And the opportunity to ask me any question in the world doesn't have to deal with football. I have to answer it. You got 3 questions. This is the final piece. I appreciate everything you said today. These words I will go back and listen to many times over. I hope Florida State fans do. I hope Syracuse fans do. I hope dads and moms and people in love and people looking for love and everything we talked about today. And I hope everybody goes back and listens to this with Chad Mavety. Now it's time for you to put me on the hot seat. You can ask me anything in the world. 3 questions. When you're ready, go ahead.
All right. Well, my first question would be, did you ever think that this is what you would be doing, with your life? Just have your own radio call and show and build relationships with the people you build relationships with?
There's a lot of things I want to do in my life. There's a lot of things I want to work on with music, with screenwriting, with acting, with directing, with stand-up comedy. And I've been able to work on a lot of stuff. And a lot of the stand-up, it's a daily thing. I like making people laugh. And so I have worked on a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. But yes, I did think that sports broadcasting was something that I could start in, rock in. I didn't know which was going to happen first. I'm more than okay with the fact that this one has. More than happy with it, and I've loved it. So, yes. Did I think that I would do this? Yes. Do I think it's the only thing I'm going to do? Not even close. And am I blown away every day by the relationships that I have and the fact that I'll always be a little kid that's like, oh, my God, I get to talk to the players and the coaches. So, being on the phone with you, it's threefold. I love my job. I appreciate our friendship. And I'm also that little kid that can't believe that I get to do this every day.
I love it. That's a great answer. That's about the best answer you could possibly give right there.
Oh, thank you. What's your next one for me?
All right, my next question is, and I might put you on the hot spot with this one. I don't know how your sponsorship and stuff goes, but
bring it.
What is your favorite restaurant in all of Syracuse?
Oh, I think we cut out, Chad. Sorry, I have to go. No, I would say my favorite restaurant in Syracuse. It's really tough. I like a lot of places. The local ones that I work with, the Wildcats and the Avocolis of the world, and there's a lot of good ones. I'm actually putting them up here right now. I work with Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Trappers, Avocolis, and the Wildcat, and also Millhouse Market. If I had to choose a place that I love to go that's local, I would actually tell you, shout out to all the places that I'm blessed to work with, as you see them all here on the screen. I would tell you that my place that I have a lot of memories growing up is actually called Anna Maria's. It doesn't exist anymore. It was knocked down. It was given a new management, which I did not like. And Anna Maria was she was actually the owner. She was there all the time. She had these lollipops that were like squares, and they were like different flavors you wouldn't even think of. And she was the only one that had those. She was so unique as a person. And my grandfather was alive when we used to go there a lot when I was a kid. So I remember my grandfather. I remember every day after church going there. I remember Anna Maria. I remember the lollipops. I remember how it made you feel, that it was like the community spot. And if I ever decide to run for president, that would have been a perfect place to like announce it. So I would have to say Anna Maria's.
That's a good answer too, man. I'm big on those little restaurants that you can go to for a lifetime, and your memories stay there. The people who own it, they know you forever, and you can't beat that stuff. That mom and pop type restaurant stuff.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So what's the last one for me?
All right, the last question I'm going to do is, what is the most memorable football game you've ever watched?
My most memorable football game I've ever watched.
Yeah, one that you just will never forget.
I would have to say that in a not great way. Third and final question, what was my most memorable game I've ever seen? I would say in not a great way, the Akron game of Syracuse losing to Akron. Their mascot is an emaciated kangaroo with a beer gut. If people don't know what that means, it's a kangaroo that looks anorexic, but that it drinks beer every single day. That loss, I mean, they just lost to Liberty, and shout out to Liberty for the win and respect to you. For Syracuse, it was awful. The loss to Akron is the worst loss that I've ever seen by any team that I've ever watched in the history of my life. So I would have to say that. I looked at my dad in that game, and I was like, we're losing to Akron. He's like, yeah, I know. I was like, no. I was like, we're losing to Akron. And I said it like probably 37 times. He's like, Daniel, like what? I was like, Dad, look at the kangaroo. Kangaroos don't play football. That kangaroo hasn't eaten in 2 years. Somebody keeps feeding it Budweiser. I don't know why. I said, look at this freaking kangaroo dancing and bouncing around and rubbing its beer belly up on the goalpost. Like, how do you not know? Like, that is the worst memory that I will ever hopefully have of Syracuse football. It was atrocious. It was...
I just want you to know there is somebody else out there that is feeling the exact same way you felt on that day. And they were watching the same game, I guarantee you.
Dude, it was one of the worst moments ever in the history of any sport ever, anywhere, at any time. And, I mean, it was just ridiculous. I mean, they're not even called the Kangaroos. They're called the Zips. I don't even know what that means. So, like...
The kangaroo did it for you, and you will forever remember that kangaroo, huh?
I will always remember that kangaroo with its smug little face shaking around that big old belly. But, yeah, so I would have to say that game was like, that's my nightmare. You know, when people are like, what was worse, your ex-wife or that kangaroo? You know, she wasn't great, but that kangaroo was worse, Chad. So, like,
hey, I hear you.
It's the kangaroo, it's her mom, it's her, and then everything else in the world. But the reality of it all is that my most memorable positive game is probably watching my Arizona Diamondbacks, because I am sympathetic to the Yankees and the Mets because of where I live, but I wanted my own team growing up. And I became a Diamondback fan when they came in 1997. And so I became a big fan of them. When they won the World Series in 2001, it was the first time that I was alive for any of my teams to win a championship. And I remember looking at my dad, throwing my hat in his face, screaming in his ear, then going upstairs, scaring my mom, waking her up at like 10 o'clock at night by bouncing on the bed. I was so excited. So I would say that that's my best positive memory, but that dirty, nasty, ugly kangaroo haunts my nightmares. And now that Syracuse lost to Liberty, I feel like I'm going back in time. So we need to not only keep that kangaroo out of my dreams, but we need to find me a nice lady, Chad. So
hey, I hear you, man. I'm sure you will. There's only so many good people out there like you. I'm sure you will.
So that coming from my man Chad Mavety. Chad, thank you so much for navigating through this. I know that you weren't feeling as great this morning, and for spending obviously a lot of extra time with us today. So I can't wait to have you back. I hope you don't mind we kept you a little longer, and I appreciate you as always.
No, I don't mind, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm thankful you had me. And like I said, man, I'm blessed to be able to do this now 5 years later and be able to communicate with you and, you know, and be able to have the opportunity to be on this show. So, you know, I appreciate everything you've done. Appreciate the relationship. Appreciate the conversation. If you ever need anything, you just reach out to me. Let me know.
All right, that coming from the man, Chad Mavety, FSU alum out of Garden City, New York. Chad, God bless to you and Alexa and the kids and your whole family and your friends. I look forward to talking with you soon, and I'm sure we'll be texting this weekend during the Florida State game.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I appreciate it. To all your followers, you know, thank you, and you know, let's keep going with this thing, man.
All right, brother. Take care.
You too.
All right, that coming from Chad Mavety once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I appreciate y'all navigating this with me, and here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as this wire that's been so gentle and so graceful, decided to not be nice today, but thank you so much to Chad Mavety and the entire conversation that we had. I appreciate him. I respect him. I got nothing but love for him, and that was one of my favorite conversations that I definitely never wanted to end. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll wrap up today's show right after this.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code AVS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicolis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicoli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Trapper's Pizza Pub, located on 5950 Butternut Drive in East Syracuse. Right off of Bridge Street is your local community supporter right around the corner. Join us on site at Trapper's Pizza Pub for our live monthly broadcast supporting Central New York student athletes and their sports programs. Call 315-438-4444 for more information. And find us on Facebook and Instagram at Trapper's Pizza Pub. Trapper's Pizza Pub, your local community supporter right around the corner.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you find your way out to the Millhouse Market. But first, download their app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. It is free and easy to download, and you'll have their entire menu at your fingertips with sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. They are ingrained in our community, respectful of where we were, and hopeful of where we're going. Thank you to the Millhouse Market for all that they do, including contactless pay and their drive-up window, so you don't even have to get out of your car to grab your food and go. The food is fantastic. The combinations are things your brain wouldn't even think of. You didn't even know what you were missing until you try it. Make sure you do that today at the Millhouse Market, 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every time. With that being stated, I want to thank my amazing, amazing guests and everybody that was a part of today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I want to send my love and my thanks to Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week, to Lead and Juanita Ward and Chick-fil-A Cicero for focusing on leaving our past in the past, not bringing our worries and our pain into today from yesterday, and knowing that what you put in is what you get out. What you focus on is what you create more of. You focus on negativity, you create more negativity. You focus on positivity, you create more positivity, which is what we want to do. That's the hope. The top dog of the week went out to everybody that helped my birthday be extra special. Give me the best birthday I've ever had here at the age of 35. And Chad Mavety hanging out with the man this morning. It's been a while, but a friendship that we started back then, and appreciation and respect. It means the absolute world to me that when I reached out to him after all these years, he treated me like we talk every week. I appreciate you, Chad. I am so happy we got to talk. And we spent an extra hour on today's show because I had no desire to stop the conversation with Juanita, with Chad, because it's been fantastic today. I appreciate y'all, and I thank y'all for listening. I send you all my love, and I hope that things go well in your life. I hope that your prayers get answered in the way that is best for you, and I hope that you know that I'm always praying for you and hoping for you. Inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, thank you for being here. And my shirt today shows you exactly how we should treat our lives. It says Hakuna Matata, and obviously that means no worries. So, do the best you can, be the best person that you could possibly be, and know that you don't owe anything to anybody. And if you're proud to be who you are, and you love who you are, and you give your best every day, doesn't matter what they say on Facebook, doesn't matter what they say on Twitter, doesn't matter what they say on Instagram and Snapchat and YouTube. It matters how you feel about yourself, and it matters how you treat yourself. So love yourself up today and always, and be the best person that you can possibly be. Tune in to Wake Up Call live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're watching on Facebook Live on facebook.com/livenowdt. You're listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. And, of course, you could find the show in the archives by going to Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. You can find the video versions on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. A big, proud, and special thanks to all the amazing people that helped to make this possible, including the great companies I'm proud to work with in our community. Those companies include Carvel DeWitt, as well as Cafe Kubal, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Honda City of Liverpool, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com today and use the promo code DT20 to get 20% off on me. And wherever you live, you can have it shipped to you and still get the 20% off. Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Trapper's Pizza Pub, the Millhouse Market, and, of course, Avicoli's, where if you go to myavicoli's.com, that's my AVICOLLIS.com, you can get 10% off by using the promo code AVS10 that you just saw pop up there on your screen. With that being stated, thank you to all of our beverage of choice. A big shout-out to Cafe Kubal for giving me my own drink, the DT Special. You can get it at any location throughout the week, including today, by going there and asking for the DT Special or by asking for pumpkin spiced chai. I have mine with almond milk. They make it in a very special way there, and I appreciate it so very much. Love the flavors that they have. And a big thanks to Body Armor, Reign, Monster Energy, and Coca-Cola that is also here with us, and we thank them so much. So, with all that being stated, have yourself a tremendous day. Please be safe. Please be well. Please be kind. Please be open-minded, and when you're having a conversation with someone who doesn't agree with you, please, as always, be respectful and listen to hear, not to speak. Listen to hear and not to speak. What I mean by that is hear what someone is saying to you more so than your desire to talk. Actually hear what the person is saying. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and for being here with us today. I appreciate you so very much. Shout out to Cafe Cabal. Thank you to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com for the list of topics for the day. And as always, find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And of course, as I always love to tell you, and to let you know how much I appreciate you, God bless, no stress, do your best. Be the best you can be today. A video will be breaking up each of these, so it will be different videos so that you can go back and listen to each part of today's show, including the full conversation with Chad Mavety. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.